So both Russia and the United States operate both a first strike capability as well as a massive retaliation capability. And what that means is both countries, basically, regardless of who fires first, is going to destroy the other country. So the thought process is when anyone, whether the US fires first or Russia fires first, both countries are going to be destroyed pretty mightily. Now, it becomes tougher for Russia to cover the entirety of what we would consider the West, which would be like France, Germany, United Kingdom, basically the entirety of Europe, and then plus Australia, Japan, South Korea, as well as we have nuclear-armed Israel as an ally. But the US and Russia would largely be completely destroyed, and that's because whoever fires first is largely irrelevant. There's no difference in who fires first because both Russia and the United States are able to detect launches early on and retaliate. So the missiles would essentially pass each other in the air as they head towards their targets. So because Russia has more targets in the US to hit and more targets in the West to hit, the West largely has a higher survivability. But there is a threshold here where some people have said anywhere between as low as 300 and all the way up to 1,300 or more nuclear weapon detonations would be considered nearly a global killer scenario. And the reason is because, and I've spoke on this in previous videos, but the reason is the firestorms that would be produced by nuclear weapons would throw up so much soot into the air that it would create the nuclear winter. And it would lower the global temperatures significantly. We would be struggling to grow food, the radioactive fallout, radioactive rain, radioactive dust. It would just be a very disastrous scenario. And there have been studies done that show that it was as little as 300 nuclear weapons going off in a very small period of time can create this. But most that I've seen, the scenarios are somewhere around 1,000 to 3,000 nuclear weapons. And you have to understand, Russia has 1,600 active warheads armed and ready. The remainder of theirs are in storage. The US has a similar amount with the remainder in storage as well. But it's plenty. It's plenty, and whoever strikes first doesn't matter. Both countries would suffer, and it's likely that enough nuclear warheads would be fired that we would largely consider it a global killer event. And that's why it's called mutually assured destruction. And I have read some studies about how mutually assured destruction may be going by the wayside, but it seems to be rearing its head right now.